So friends, today I'm going to explain a very interesting and proper horror film that was recently released. The name of the movie is The Demon Disorder. This is a Shudder original film, and it's quite an intriguing watch with a great concept. You will definitely enjoy watching it. The movie starts with a scene where we find an old man tied to a bed, with chains around his legs. He says that when you're about to reach the end, you will experience the taste of hunger, disease, natural disasters, and torture. At that moment, he grabs someone's arm, but it turns out to be a dream that Philip, the main character, was having. The old man in Philip's dream was actually his father, George, who had passed away recently. Now, let's talk about Philip's family. He has two brothers, Jake, the eldest, and Graham, the middle brother, with Philip being the youngest. Philip wakes up from his dream and goes outside, where Jake calls him to the barn. There, they find a calf that looks very abnormal and is in great pain, so Jake shoots it with his gun to end its suffering. Later, we see Graham and his colleague, Cole, working at his garage. From their conversation, we learn that Graham hasn't been home since their father's death and has been staying at the garage ever since. We also notice a cake in the fridge for someone's 28th birthday, which turns out to be Philip's. A bit later, Jake arrives at the garage, starts drinking beer, and Graham sends Cole home, telling Jake to leave as well. At this point, Jake tells Graham about a blood oath the three brothers had taken, and shows him a video of Philip acting possessed. Jake says that he believes their father has returned, as Philip was behaving the same way their father used to. This startles Graham, but he reluctantly agrees to go back home with Jake, because the situation reminds him too much of their father's past behavior. When they reach home, Graham is not happy, and he has a vision of their father, which brings back painful memories. Graham sees his father in the kitchen in a possessed state, eating a live chicken. Suddenly, the father attacks Graham, but once again, it turns out to be a bad dream. As the night progresses, Graham and Jake notice strange things happening around the house. They suspect that Philip is suffering from the same affliction their father had. Philip shows signs of possession and strange marks on his body, which Philip dismisses as an allergic reaction. However, both Jake and Graham know that their father had the same marks before he passed away. Later, when Graham goes to check on Philip at night, he finds him in the barn eating chickens alive. When Graham confronts him, Philip's eyes are glowing red, and he attacks Graham, biting him on the chest. Jake arrives just in time, and together, they manage to restrain Philip. As the brothers inspect Philip, they notice something crawling in his throat. Jake bravely reaches into Philip's mouth and pulls out a parasite, which appears to have been feeding on Philip. The creature was demonic in nature, not just some alien parasite. It escapes and hides in the house, but Jake and Graham eventually manage to trap it inside a bag. After containing the parasite, the movie shows a flashback where Philip was once told by their father not to come close to him, as he was infected by the same demonic parasite. Philip now realizes that the same fate might befall him. Back in the present, Graham believes that with the parasite now trapped, Philip is free, so he unties him. However, Philip still has a mental connection with the parasite. Eventually, the parasite manipulates Philip into releasing it, and it enters his body again, leaving the future uncertain. Graham hears some sounds coming from his father's sealed room. Despite the room being locked, he removes the wooden planks blocking it and goes inside, which was a mistake. His father had warned him not to enter the room. Inside, Graham starts looking through his father's things and notices bloodstains on the bed where his father had been restrained. Soon, Jake arrives and urges Graham to leave, reminding him that their father had instructed them not to return to the room before he passed away, which is why it was sealed. It seems like this possession or parasite is terrifying, and the bloodstains might indicate something worse. Jake is unaware that Graham has already freed Philip. So, Jake sits down, drinks, and watches TV, while Graham examines the bathroom where Philip had been bitten, noticing an eye starting to form. This scene presents a zombie virus-like concept. Anyone scratched or bitten by the possessed person becomes infected. However, in this case, full possession does not occur until the original host dies. So, while Graham has scratches and is infected, he won't be fully possessed until the current host is gone. Earlier, we saw Philip's nightmare, which was real. He had taken food to his father, who attacked and scratched him. This is how Philip became connected to the demon. The marks under Philip's arms were from his father's scratches, meaning the same thing likely happened to his father. Once Philip's father died, the possession was completed, and Philip became fully possessed. If Graham had destroyed the parasite instead of trapping it in a container, this demon would have been eliminated. But now that it's back inside Philip, they must extract and destroy it. Later, when Jake is watching TV, something quickly moves behind him. Checking the father's room, he finds Philip there. Jake has flashbacks where Graham tried to kill their father, but he didn't succeed, and his father came back possessed, attacking Graham. Jake, paralyzed with fear, couldn't help. So Philip intervened and killed their father by striking him with a rod in the head. Afterward, Graham left, and Philip slowly became infected, eventually reaching the possession stage. This parasite takes time to possess fully, but when it does, it's a terrifying and irreversible possession. Even after the parasite leaves the body, the connection to the host remains. When Jake recalls that Philip killed their father, he tries to kill Philip in a drunken rage. Graham arrives, chokes Jake unconscious, and tells Philip they should leave the cursed house behind, unaware that the parasite is still inside Philip. As they drive away, Philip starts bleeding, so Graham drives to a garage where they meet Cole. Seeing Philip's condition, Cole suggests calling an ambulance, but Graham refuses, fearing that the parasite could spread and cause global destruction if it infects others. Philip begins vomiting blood, and Graham instructs Cole to care for Philip while he goes to his office to do something shocking. He tries to cut the parasite out of his chest with scissors. Meanwhile, Cole calls for help, but realizes Philip is missing. She searches for him, and Philip, now fully possessed, sneaks up behind her. Suddenly the lights go out, and Cole, terrified, runs into Graham's office, asking what's going on. At that moment, things in the office start crashing down on them, forcing them to hide under a table. Once things calm down, they emerge to find Jake entering with a gun, pointing it at Graham, demanding to know where Philip is. Graham himself is unsure and was also searching for Philip. They send Cole to Graham's office, while Jake and Graham search for Philip. After some effort, they find Philip hanging upside down. The brothers struggle to restrain him with chains while Cole calls the police. Since the parasite is demonic, Graham and Jake realize they'll need to perform some sort of crucifixion or exorcism to remove it. As they begin to carry out the ritual, someone knocks on the door. 2 police officers, having responded to Cole's call for help, arrive at the scene. Before dealing with them, the brothers drag Philip into the bathroom. Graham then instructs Jake to go calm Cole down, while he distracts the officers, who are a female officer named Peters and a male officer. The name of the male officer was Terry. Meanwhile, inside Philip's body, the parasitic demon was slowly emerging into a fully grown demon. Graham was forced to bring both police officers inside to check the place. By this time, the parasite had fully transformed into a demon. Terry went to check the bathroom, while Peters checked the office. In the bathroom, Terry found Philip in an injured state along with the demon. Peters, meanwhile, saw Jake and Cole, but just then, Terry suddenly screamed, and the bathroom door slammed shut from inside. Inside the bathroom, the demon brutally smashed Terry's face against the wall, severely disfiguring him. In that moment, Jake took the opportunity to knock Peters unconscious by hitting her head with his gun. However, in the process, Jake accidentally shot himself in the leg. Graham quickly attended to Jake, while Cole covered Jake's wound with a cloth to stop the bleeding. Afterward, Graham went to get Philip and brought him outside. While this was happening, Cole went to the vending machine to get a drink. Philip then informed Graham that the demon parasite was still nearby. And indeed, it was. The demon was hiding behind some drums near the vending machine and started advancing towards Graham and the others. The demon still had the mark on its head from when Philip struck it with the rod, the same rod he had used to kill their father. A flashback then shows Philip, Graham, and Jake's father performing a blood oath with his sons. According to this oath, if any of them lost control or transformed into a demon, they were to kill that person together. The scene shifts back to the present, where Graham takes the gun from Jake and shoots the demon. However, now Graham becomes the next infected. It turns out that the demon infection was already within their bloodline. If one person died, the next in line would become infected. This demon infection started from the chest, and now that Graham was the next infected, he rushed to his office intending to shoot himself to stop the cycle. But just as he was about to do it, Jake and the others arrived and restrained him. Using a knife, Jake painstakingly managed to extract the parasite from Graham's chest. After a great deal of effort and pain, the parasite was pulled out, and Jake shot and killed it. However, their troubles were far from over, as more police officers were arriving on the scene. Realizing that they couldn't explain the deaths of the officers or the existence of the demon, they decided to flee. They all got into a car and escaped before the police could catch them. And with that, the film Demon Disorder concludes. The story reveals that the father of the three brothers was already infected with the demon, which existed in the form of a parasitic entity. This demon could manifest itself at any time by consuming the host's energy. However, the big question is, how did this demon parasite enter their father in the first place? It's possible that someone in their bloodline had made a deal or performed some ritual to fulfill their desires. But the demon parasite, being sinister, didn't grant those wishes. Instead, it took advantage of the situation for its own purpose. Their father had come to realize this, which is why he took the blood oath to destroy the demon together with his sons. The demon had infected the entire male lineage, passing from one to the next after death. This infection could have continued down the bloodline, consuming every male one after another. The demon can insert itself into someone else as well. I believe that it's possible that the demon might have gone into Terry because look, they managed to kill the demon. They extracted the parasite and eliminated it, but I believe that the demon surely had a backup plan. The best opportunity they had to destroy it was when they extracted it from Philip. At that moment, they could have eliminated the demon entirely, but instead, they contained it in a jar.
So friends, this was the story of the film Demon Disorder. I hope you enjoyed this explanation and theory. If you have any doubts, feel free to ask in the comments section. I've also recently explained a very interesting Indonesian horror film, and you can find that explanation pinned in the comments section below. Do check it out, it's a fantastic film. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and leave a comment. I'll see you all in the next video. Until then.